The Sopranos is a mob drama which follows New Jersey mob boss Tony Soprano and his life. As boss of his family, Tony is in charge of a wide collection of colourful characters, including Ralph Cifaretto, played by Joe Pantoliano. Ralph is a soldier of the DiMeo crime family who later becomes a captain and one of the highest earners in the family. He is not present in the first or second season, as it is said he spends a length of time in Miami overseeing family business there. At face value, Ralph comes off as nice and gentlemanly, and in fact he does seem to be a pretty cool guy to hang around with. He's a solid captain and seems to have a good rapport with his crew and is a hilarious prankster. However, Ralph is also very cunning, and a combination of his psychotic tendencies and cocaine addiction makes him an unstable individual who gets on the wrong side of numerous people, including Tony and Paulie. Ralph's behaviour can be at best infuriating and annoying, and at worst downright dangerous, and one of the key reasons why Tony Soprano didn't kill him sooner than he originally did is because Ralph is such a high earner for the family, hence why he gets away with so much. In fact, he even apparently makes the New York Lupertazzi family millions of dollars through his Esplanade construction racket, which gives him a unique position in the Sopranos crew, to such an extent that Lupertazzi crime boss Carmine refuses to sanction a hit on Ralph when he makes a very hurtful remark that's not worth repeating about Lupertazzi underboss Johnny Sack's wife. Carmine was even willing to have Johnny Sack murdered over the whole affair, but not Ralph, highlighting his importance as an earner to both families. Some of Ralph's more dastardly actions include allegedly killing a racehorse that was beloved to Tony and the beating and murder of a pregnant stripper. Some of his actions are as a result of the fact that he's a clear sociopath, but there is an undercurrent of bitterness to some of his deeds for being passed over for the role as captain of his crew, which is given to Gigi. As a result, Ralph doesn't hesitate when an opportunity arises to undermine Gigi's leadership, like when he takes the piss out of Gigi's decision to send old man Bacala on a hit. One of the many things about Ralph that pisses Tony off is his bad influence on Jackie Jr. Jackie Jr. is the son of the deceased Jackie Aprile, former boss of the DiMeo family, a highly respected man who is remembered fondly by his underlings. In stark contrast, Jackie Jr. is a dumb fuck who almost drowned in 3 inches of water. He's obsessed with making a name for himself in the mob, but absolutely no one cares about him, and those who make an effort, like Tony, tell him to stay in school and focus on his studies, as his father wanted. Tony also has a further vested interest that Jackie Jr. is dating his daughter Meadow, or at least was until she caught him with a prostitute. Now, Ralph and Jackie Jr. are associated because Ralph is seeing Jackie Jr.'s widowed mother, Rosalie Aprile. Ralph has that awkward status of being an unwitting stepdad looking to connect with his son-in-law, and Ralph's influence on Jackie Jr. is worlds apart from the only other father figure in the kid's life, Tony. Ralph gives Jackie Jr. a gun, which he later uses to kill someone, and he brings him to a violent collection which helps the bonding between the two. Ralph also tells Jackie Jr. and a friend of a story where, years back, Jackie Jr.'s father and Tony robbed the card game of a powerful gangster called Fitch Lamana. After the incident, there was a usual uproar, but after a sit-down, all the right people got paid their money back and the likes of Tony's father stepped in for his son. The point was made that Jackie and Tony were rising stars who now needed to be respected and were on the fast track to being made. Ralph says he was also supposed to go, but got the clap from a hippie broad he was with, which, who knows, might have been Janice Soprano. Ralph could easily be lying here to give himself a bigger part in the story, to cover up that he chickened out at the last minute, or because he was just that never close to the other duo and wasn't invited. Anyway, Jackie Jr., who is desperate to emulate his father and is always going on about him, is clearly mesmerized and becomes inspired to do a little bit of card game robbing of his own. Only when Junior tries it, being the dumb fuck he is, he messes it up while high on crystal meth and kills the dealer of the card game. Made Man Furio is also shot, and because Jackie Jr. talks in spite of wearing a mask, Christopher is able to work out who he is. After this, in spite of the status of his dead father, Jackie Jr.'s fate is sealed. In the end, Ralph is given the task by Tony of making the call on Jackie Jr.'s fate, putting him into an uncomfortable position which ends with Ralph reluctantly agreeing to sanctioning a hit on Jackie Jr., and eventually he is found after going into hiding and killed by Vito. But many Sopranos fans theorize that Ralph intentionally set Jackie Jr. up by planting a seed in Jr.'s mind by telling him of his father's claim to fame. Jackie Jr. was in awe of his father and clearly frustrated that he wasn't respected in the mob, so he would look for any opportunity he could find to elevate his rank, and in his mind, Ralph had given him the ticket to success. Before we continue, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell for more videos if you haven't already done so. You can also support the channel on Patreon, where you can get bonuses like early access to videos months before they are released on YouTube. Of course, the wannabe Jackie Jr. makes several fatal errors in his card game heist. Tony's father was alive when he performed the robbery and would vouch for him and defend him. Any beef would have to go through Tony's father because Johnny Boy was a made man. Jackie Jr.'s was dead, so he didn't have that protection. No one was hurt in the original card game heist, whereas here a made man is shot and a connected guy is killed. But we're not here to talk about the stupidity of Jackie Jr. We're here to discuss the theory that Ralph intentionally set up the impressionable Jackie Jr. with that story, so he would perform a similar stunt and either get killed trying or be taken out later on for it. So let's discuss this. Before we can really work out what's what, we have to work out Ralph's motivation. If he did set up Jackie Jr., why did he want him killed? What could he have possibly gained from wanting Jackie Jr. dead? There's a few possibilities, I guess. One could be quite simply that he was banging Jackie Jr.'s mum and he didn't want him around. Also, in some ways, given that in a sense Tony was looking after Jackie Jr. out of respect to his father, it would be a kick in the teeth to Tony for Jackie Jr. to screw up by getting involved in the mob and then going off and doing something stupid to get himself killed. Ralph was pissed at getting passed over for the position of capo. The Jackie Jr. fiasco occurred after Tony attacked Ralph over the stripper incident. So by this point, Ralph had plenty of reasons to spite Tony. Or instead of wanting to hurt Tony, it could actually be to get closer to Tony. After all, Ralph uses the death of Jackie Jr. to split up with Rosalie, and towards the end of their relationship he was seeing Janice Soprano behind Rosalie's back. Perhaps this was all part of some plan to get in Tony's good books. After all, during a basketball game with Vito, Ralph comments how hooking up with Janice can be good for his career. Or could it simply be because Ralph is a psycho and an idiot like Jackie Jr. getting himself killed is Ralph's idea of a fun Tuesday night? Personally though, I think all of these mentioned possibilities are weak reasonings, and though this might be a popular fan theory, I just can't rationalize why Ralph might want Jackie Jr. dead. And in any case, how could he be sure that just because he told Jackie Jr. the card robbing story, Jackie Jr. would try and rob a card game, that he would mess it up, that someone would get shot, that someone would get killed? Surely there are less elaborate ways of killing a guy you want dead. I'd be more convinced if you told me that Ralph told Jackie Jr. that story because he wanted to inspire him to do something wild, but in a good way. In fact, that's actually a thought. Maybe Ralphie did try to instill the idea into Jackie Jr. of doing a card robbery, but not in a way to set him up to be killed, but because he knew that Jackie Jr. would need to do something big and wild if he wanted to get noticed and respected. It seems like the kind of reckless and balmy advice Ralph might give. Maybe he thought, you know what? I know just what to tell this kid to do if he wants to get noticed. But it all ended up backfiring when Jackie Jr. messed up the robbery. If anything, he was trying to get closer to Jackie Jr. by giving him this advice. Another reason why Ralph might want Jackie dead is because he might have found the whole situation funny. He's a pretty sick guy. Getting dildos shoved up his ass, killing a pregnant young girl, wanting someone to use a cheese grater on his dick. Perhaps the idea of sending an idiot like Jackie Jr. on a card robbery was hilarious to the guy. If you want my personal opinion though, I just cannot buy into this theory that Ralph intentionally set up Jackie Jr. It just doesn't add up. First of all, Ralph seems genuinely upset that he has to make the decision to kill Jackie Jr. I know he's a difficult one to suss out, but Jackie Jr. was Rosalie's kid, and Ralph knows that taking him out is going to traumatize her and put her through the grieving process. Why would he want to be around that? He ain't that sick and depraved, surely. The theory falls flat on its face because there is really no motivation for Ralph to suddenly want Jackie Jr. to die after making genuine attempts at getting close to him. Secondly, this plan is a Bond villain level of absurdity. It's way too complex and relies on far too many factors outside of Ralphie's control, and regardless, he never even told Jackie Jr. to rob a card game. We all know the kid's a dumb fuck. Maybe he wouldn't take the bait, maybe he can't take a hint. Personally, I just think Ralph was playing the cool stepdad, telling some awesome stories that the youngsters will appreciate about the good old days, lifting the kid a little by telling him such a cool story about his dad. I think this is just Ralph being Ralph. He's an amazing earner, but he doesn't quite know his limits. He doesn't have a lot of common sense. He's given the kid a gun already. He takes him out on shakedowns. This is a very Ralph thing to do. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who knows what sensible parenting actually is. It's simply a case of a guy telling a cool story to a pair of dorks. Ralph could have no idea that Jackie Jr. would be so stupid as to go out and do what he did. It's just idle talk, a little bedtime story. Ralph probably didn't even remember he had this conversation an hour later. All he actually did was answer Jackie Jr.'s question as to why Christopher Moltisanti became a made man at such a young age. But the imbecile that is Jackie Jr. used it as a horoscope to jumpstart his path to becoming a Don. So what do you think? Was Ralph setting up Jackie Jr. to die? If so, why do you think he was doing that? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.